42-year-old Lester Burnham is an average man who hates his job and is dissatisfied with his life. His wife Carolyn is obsessed with image, eager to create the appearance of the perfect American family. One look at Carolyn fills Lester with melancholy. It was not always like this. Once they were happy. Their 16-year-old daughter Jane is a typical teenager, embittered, insecure and easily hurt. Lester knows that his wife and daughter consider him a complete loser. And they are right. It is as if he has lost something. But it is never too late to get everything back. Lester is a manager at an advertising agency, constantly criticized by his boss, Brad. The man's entire life consists of daily and family routine. Every evening they have dinner by candlelight, because Carolyn wants everything to look perfect. Lester tries to establish contact with his daughter, but in response she only shows her irritation toward him. The family has no idea that the son of their new neighbors, Ricky, is spying on them and filming them with a camera. Lester is absolutely unhappy with how everything is turning out. But how does one find the courage to change it all? Carolyn works as a real estate agent and is determined to succeed in this field. She practices positive thinking, but it does not help much. At times the woman cries from helplessness, and the very next second she screams, calling herself weak and hysterical. Jane has a friend, Angela Hayes, very bright and attractive. Both girls are on the cheerleading squad. Carolyn is convinced that their daughter would want them to come to the school basketball game to support her, while Lester is sure it is a bad idea. Their daughter's behavior is driven by teenage maximalism, nothing more. But Carolyn disagrees, and the couple goes to the game. Lester dreams of leaving as soon as possible, but the moment he sees Angela, his jaw drops in awe. He has never before seen such a beautiful creature, combining fragility and boldness at the same time. Jane avoids introducing her parents to her friend, so after the game the girls try to slip away unnoticed, but Lester cannot miss such an opportunity to meet Angela. Jane is ready to burn with shame when her father, behaving as it seems to her extremely foolishly, flirts with Angela, saying that his daughter's friends are his friends too. The girl only plays along charmingly. When the adults leave, Jane says with contempt how pathetic her father is. Angela on the contrary finds him rather cute. All night Lester cannot fall asleep from the excess of emotions that have overwhelmed him. It is as if he had been in a coma for 20 years and is only now awakened. Angela is perfection, and her beautiful image does not leave Lester's thoughts for a single second. Meanwhile the girls are driving around in Angela's car. She is used to guys staring at her and can get anyone she wants with just a beckoning finger. Angela dreams of becoming a model, believing that there is nothing worse in life than being ordinary. That is exactly how Jane feels, ordinary, unremarkable. She envies Angela, although she does not admit it out loud. On the way home, the girl notices that Ricky is filming her with a camera. She calls him a freak, but once inside the house, she smiles. She likes the attention. The next morning Lester, waking up happy for the first time in many years, calls Angela's home number, just to hear her voice. He immediately hangs up. The girl calls back. This time Jane answers and quickly realizes that it was her father who had called. Ricky continues to film Jane, obsessed with her. His mother, Barbara, suffers from catatonic syndrome, so she is constantly in a detached state, forgetting even that her son does not eat bacon. Ricky's father, Frank Fitz, is a retired Marine Corps colonel and a man of extremely conservative views. Their neighbors, who are also the Burnhams' neighbors, Jim Olmayer and Jim Berkeley, appear on their doorstep to congratulate them on their housewarming. Realizing that they live together as a couple, Frank barely restrains himself. Later, while driving his son to school, he says how disgusting it is. Ricky, who lives under harsh military-style upbringing, is forced to say that he also finds it disgusting. At school, Angela boasts to her classmates that she met a famous photographer and showed him all her abilities. Ricky attends the same school as they do. Angela tells her friend that she used to go to the same cafeteria with him for lunch in 9th grade, and then he disappeared for a year. They say his parents sent him to a mental institution. Ricky approaches the girls and, acting with striking self-confidence, remarks on how interesting Jane is, which embarrasses her greatly. No boy has ever said anything like that to her before. Barbara reacts to almost nothing at all, living in some world of her own and barely perceiving what is happening. At home, the atmosphere is rather unhealthy, but Ricky tries to behave obediently so as not to provoke his strict father. Carolyn is invited to a business reception and worries that her husband might do something wrong. The very thought that something could damage her image fills the woman with terror. The couple goes over to greet Buddy Kane, the most successful real estate agent in the city, and his wife Christy. Carolyn is extremely excited about this meeting and does everything she can to win Buddy's favor, while Lester merely cracks melancholy jokes. He grows tired of it very quickly and steps aside. The falseness that reigns there, especially the way his wife laughs with affected enthusiasm at every one of Buddy's jokes, fills Lester with disgust. Ricky is working the event as a waiter and comes over to say hello to Mr. Burnham. Under the influence of alcohol, Carolyn tells Buddy how much she admires him and expresses a desire to meet sometime, despite the fact that they are formally speaking competitors. Lester does not like being there at all and prefers to spend time outside by the back entrance, chatting with Ricky. When the young man's boss demands that he return to the banquet hall to serve the guests, Ricky brazenly announces that he quits. This genuinely impresses Lester, who would never have dared to do such a thing himself. Lester jokes that Ricky is his new hero. Meanwhile, the girls are watching television at Jane's house. Soon her parents return. Jane wants them to hurry up and go to her room, but Angela says that she does not want to be rude and should say hello to Lester. She playfully compliments his suit. The man gazes at Angela, spellbound, fantasizing about the two of them being alone together. Sensing his interest, the girl openly flirts with him, which puts Jane in an unbearably awkward position. She would rather not see or hear any of this. Lester is absolutely delighted when his daughter says that Angela will be staying over for the night. Later, he stands by the door to Jane's room, eavesdropping on the girls' conversation. Angela says that Lester is funny, but that he should work on his body and get in shape. To the man, this sounds like a call to action. Ricky continues his strange advances toward Jane. Angela says how creepy it is. All this time Ricky is filming them with his camera from his window. That same evening Lester, filled with exhilaration, finds a set of old dumbbells in his garage that have been gathering dust there for many years. He intends to change his life completely, to become the Lester he has always wanted to be, confident, getting everything he wants. Frank, accustomed to controlling everything, demands that his son regularly take substances tests. The man fears that Ricky will return to his old habits, not knowing that this has already happened. The guy simply switches out the sample container each time. At night, lying in his bed, Lester dreams of Angela, his ultimate prize. And to obtain it, he is ready to make an effort. Of course, Carolyn cannot help but sense the changes in her husband. She shouts that she cannot go on like this, because this is not a marriage. The man caustically replies that it has not been a marriage for several years, but she was fine with it as long as he kept quiet. However, Lester no longer intends to stay silent. From now on, he is not the man he used to be. It feels wonderful to realize that you can still surprise yourself. To get into shape faster, Lester goes out for a morning run with his neighbors, the two Jims. The only thing Lester regrets is the years wasted in vain. He did not live, he merely existed. Seeing her husband doing strength exercises in the garage, Carolyn is bewildered. In just a couple of days, Lester has changed beyond recognition. Now he responds to all her complaints with barbed remarks, no longer willing to accept the role of a pawn. That same day Lester quits the hated job he has spent 14 years of his life on. He also has information that part of the company's budget was misused, and he blackmails Brad, demanding a severance payment of $60,000. Brad has no choice but to give in. Meanwhile, Carolyn meets Buddy at a restaurant, where he announces that he is divorcing his wife Christy. Hearing this, Carolyn feels something she cannot yet admit even to herself. She would like to be with a man like Buddy. Ricky constantly films Jane, considering her the most beautiful girl in the world. Today, instead of going with Angela, Jane prefers to walk home with Ricky. This angers and offends Angela, who cannot understand how her friend can associate with such a strange guy. Never before has Lester been as happy as he is now. He gets a job at a fast food restaurant, the kind of work that suits him perfectly because the less responsibility, the better. An affair begins between Carolyn and Buddy. Jane wants to get to know Ricky better. He loves filming with a camera, seeing hidden beauty in many things that others fail to notice. Ricky invites Jane to his house and introduces her to his mother. Barbara barely reacts. Then the guy shows Jane his father's collection of weapons and other historical items. Frank would be furious if he knew about this. Ricky makes the girl feel special. He is not like other guys, does not try to act like a macho, and that is exactly what attracts her to him. They hold hands. At home, the spouses argue, blaming each other for everything. Lester is proud of himself, while his wife thinks he is a complete idiot for quitting his job, being rude to his boss and doing whatever he pleases. Jane sees her parents like this for the first time. Usually their dinners took place in a dull, monotonous atmosphere. When Carolyn starts yelling at her husband, he grabs a plate from the table and throws it against the wall. From now on, he will not tolerate being interrupted or treated like a nobody. Jane locks herself in her room, not wanting to see anyone. Her mother knocks on the door to talk about Lester's outrageous behavior at the table. But the girl responds only with irritation and contempt, which drives Carolyn out of her mind. She accuses her daughter of ingratitude. They give their daughter everything, while she fails to appreciate it. In the past, they did not even have their own house. Jane feels misunderstood. Ricky is the only one who understands her and accepts her for who she is. At least that is how it seems to the girl. Learning that his son has been in his study, Frank beats him, assuming he was looking for money to buy substances again. Ricky shouts that it is not true, he only wanted to show his father's collection to his girlfriend. This makes Frank back off. Looking guilty, the man tells his son that it is for his own good. Frank is forced to be tough and make sure Ricky does not relapse. Elated by her affair with Buddy, Carolyn feels like singing and dancing. For the first time in many years, she feels desired. The woman even changes her hairstyle. Without consulting his wife, Lester sells their Camry and buys a Pontiac he has always dreamed of. He no longer feels the need to ask anyone's opinion. Both Lester and Carolyn undergo changes to one degree or another. The man tries to bring passion back into their marriage, but for his wife, things in their house and image still matter more. Lester can no longer live like this, not understanding why Carolyn puts material things above their own lives. Everything is passing them by. Ricky and Jane grow closer and closer. The guy shares that because of problems with substances and his behavior, his father first sent him to military school, and then to a mental institution. But despite everything, Ricky does not feel hatred toward him. Frank is not a bad man. Jane on the contrary hates her father, because Angela matters more to him than his own daughter. This deeply traumatizes the girl, she would rather her father did not exist at all. Sometimes such thoughts cross her mind. Week after week goes by. Lester has already gotten himself into good physical shape and has no intention of stopping. Jane wants to invite Angela to stay over, because lately the girls have grown apart due to Ricky. But Jane feels awkward about the way her father stares at Angela, even though Lester denies it. Frank cannot shake the feeling that his son and Lester are involved in something together, something not entirely good. While Ricky is at school, Frank searches the guy's room and finds a tape showing Lester working out with dumbbells in his garage. It was filmed by Ricky. After meeting at a motel, Carolyn and Buddy stop by a fast food restaurant to get takeout. That is when Lester catches them. The woman tries to justify herself, but no matter what she says, everything is already clear. In any case, Lester does not give a damn. He no longer cares about his wife, he is focused solely on himself. Buddy decides to break up with Carolyn, because a serious relationship was never part of his plans. The woman is devastated, neither her personal life nor her career is working out. Frank's suspicions about his son grow stronger. Angela still believes that Jane should find herself a normal guy instead of dating a psycho like Ricky. But the girl does not care what her friend thinks about it. Seeing his son and their neighbor together in Lester's garage, cheerfully chatting about something, Frank becomes fully convinced of his suspicions, thinking there is something going on between them. In reality, Ricky is simply supplying Lester with something illegal. Jane and Angela come to the Burnhams' house. The girl immediately starts complimenting Lester's muscles, saying how attractive they are. Frank, furious, throws his son out of the house, not even listening to his attempts to explain everything. For Frank, what he believes he saw in the garage is the worst shame imaginable. The guy says goodbye to his mother, and asking her to take care of his father, leaves. Meanwhile, Carolyn takes a gun out of her car's glove compartment, the one she used to take to the shooting range with Buddy. Jane begs her friend not to cross the line, but Angela sees nothing wrong with flirting with Lester. Suddenly someone knocks on the bedroom door. It is Ricky, who offers Jane to leave with him for New York right now. Angela tries to talk her out of it, calling him a sick psycho, to which Jane replies that then she must be sick too. And that they will never be like everyone else. Hurt, Angela says that at least she is not a freak. But Ricky does not think so. Angela is boring and completely ordinary. And she knows it. That is her greatest fear. While the young couple embraces, the girl cries on the stairs, as Frank comes into Lester's garage, asking where his wife is. Lester replies that she is somewhere with another man, but he does not give a damn. Their marriage is nothing but a facade, like an advertising gimmick meant to show that they are normal, even though they have not been for a long time. Frank breaks down and cries. Lester hugs him. All his life, Frank feared more than anything that someone might one day suspect his hidden inclinations toward men. He leaves alone. Holding the gun in her hands, Carolyn keeps repeating that she refuses to be a victim. Lester and Angela are left alone together. He comforts the girl, telling her that she is the most beautiful thing he has ever seen. The man does not think she is ordinary. Angela needed to hear those words. Carolyn heads home, full of determination. Jane and Ricky are ready to give up their families, just to be together. When it becomes clear that Angela's promiscuous behavior was merely a mask behind which she hid her insecurity, Lester backs away from his intentions and simply hugs her. Angela still feels awkward, but she is already more at ease. When the girl asks how he is doing, Lester replies with a sad smile that no one has asked him that in a long time. The man says that everything is wonderful, but it is a lie. Once they truly were a happy family. But that is in the past. At that moment someone fires a shot, taking Lester's life. All his memories, bad and good, flash before his eyes. A gun is missing from Frank's collection. It was him. Seeing her husband's body at home, Carolyn is horrified. She goes into the walk-in closet, and sobbing uncontrollably, clutches his clothes. If Lester could still feel, he might hate them all, but it is hard to hold resentment in one's heart when there is so much beauty in the world. He feels only gratitude for every moment of his small, foolish life.